If you stop chasing her, she doesn't disappear. She transforms. Have you ever wondered what goes on in a woman's mind when the texts stop? When the good mornings fade into silence, say it, when the typing bubble disappears, when you, the man she once hands had wrapped around her finger, simply stop showing up. Let me paint you a picture. You used to talk every day. You gave her attention, time, validation, love, loyalty. She knew you'd call, knew you'd check in. She knew you were there. Always. But things silence. The game changes. Now you're not texting her anymore. You're not calling. You're not asking how her day was. You're not even watching her stories anymore. She notices. Oh, she definitely notices. But the question is, what does she do now? And that, right there, is where the story begins, not where it ends. Because what a woman does when you stop contacting her isn't about you. It's about her. And that's what makes it so powerful. This isn't just about relationships. It's about self-worth, power, perception, and emotional intelligence. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens when you stop contacting her. And it might not be what you think. She will feel the shock, but she won't show it. And that's where the mystery begins. You see, when you stop contacting her, it doesn't hit her like a slap. It hits her like silence in a room that used to echo your voice. At first, it doesn't make sense. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's just missing. She'll pick up her phone, not even meaning to text you, but almost out of habit. She'll swipe through her chats, expecting your name to pop up. But it doesn't. She'll keep an Instagram, maybe scroll past your profile. Still no story updates, no likes, no messages. That's when it starts creeping in. The subtle realization that you've gone quiet, that you changed the pattern now. And patterns, my friend, are powerful. People don't fall in love with personalities overnight. They fall in love with EOE consistency. And when that consistency disappears, it sends emotional tremors through even the strongest walls. But here's what's wild. She won't tell anyone. She won't even tell herself. She'll carry on with her day. She'll go to work, post her selfies, laugh at jokes that don't really feel that funny. She'll talk to her friends like nothing's wrong. But deep down, something's off. Because you're not there. And even if you were never hers, the absence of your presence now feels like the absence of air. Think of it like coffee in the morning. You don't realize how much you crave it until the one day you don't have it. It's just coffee, right? But without it, your whole rhythm feels off. That's what you became to her. A rhythm. A part of her mental checklist. A part of her routine. She depended on your energy, and now that it's gone, her soul feels unbalanced. But will she admit it? Not a chance. She'll put on her strongest smile. She'll look in the mirror and say, I'm fine. She'll repost memes about not caring, about self-love, about moving on. She'll convince the world and try to convince herself that your silence means nothing, that it's irrelevant, that she's unbothered. But silence has a way of getting under the skin. It doesn't knock on the door, it seeps through the cracks. You're no longer texting her, but your energy is still there, in her thoughts, in her doubts, in her scrolling fingers. You've left the room, but you've taken the light with you. Every time her phone buzzes, a part of her hopes it's you. Every time she picks a dress, she wonders if it's something you would have liked. She'll wear that lipstick you once complimented. She'll play that song you both once talked about. And she'll say it's just coincidence. But it's not. It's emotional muscle memory. You're not contacting her, but your silence is louder than any good morning text you ever sent. Here's the secret that people don't talk about: the power of absence. You don't have to raise your voice to make an impact. You just have to leave space box. Because that space, that's where curiosity lives. That's where reflection begins. That's where truth gets louder. And here's the kicker. She never expected it from you. She thought she had the control. She thought she was the one holding the cards. She was used to you reaching out. She knew you'd be there. She thought she could take a day or two to reply. She thought you'd wait. But now, there's a new question circling her mind. Why isn't he chasing anymore? That question is dangerous. That question shatters illusions. It's because it forces her to face something deeper than missing you. It forces her to confront the possibility that you're done caring. You see, people don't panic when someone walks away loudly. They panic when someone walks away quietly. No explanations, no arguments, no final texts, just gone. That's when the real fear kicks in. She'll start thinking back to your last conversation. She'll overanalyze the tone of your voice. She'll reread your last text, looking for clues. Did you seem distant? Were you trying to hint at something? She'll start crafting scenarios in her mind, looking for reasons, any reason, to explain why you're no longer showing up. And the truth is, you're just tired. Tired of giving, tired of trying, tired of explaining yourself to someone who never really listened. You didn't walk away because you wanted to hurt her. You walked away because your silence was the only language left that had any meaning. She didn't hear your words, so now she'll feel your absence. It's like that moment in the movie when the hero stops begging for the villain to change and just walks away. That's when the villain realizes they weren't the powerful one after all. People think power is in speaking. But sometimes power is in GUI, not saying a word. It's in doing nothing. It's in disappearing when they expected you to cling harder. That's when your value is felt the most. And now she has to sit with it. It's because the version of you that was always there, that version has evolved. He's no longer interested in proving his worth. He's no longer auditioning for a place in her life. He knows what he brings. He knows what he gave. He knows what he deserves. She might laugh a little louder around others. She might post more than usual. But there will be moments, quiet, late night moments, when her heart aches just a little, when she wonders where you went, when she regrets not seeing the value in your consistency. It's when she wishes she hadn't waited for you to stop contacting her before realizing what she lost. Her ego will try to protect her, and it will do it with everything it's got. The moment you stop contacting her, her ego steps in like a shield, whispering in her ear, "He doesn't matter. You're fine. He was replaceable." It's not the truth, but it's the protection. Because the ego is not designed for truth. It's designed for survival. And for her, survival means pretending she doesn't care. So instead of sitting with the sting, instead of facing the echo of your silence, she scrolls, she swipes, she posts. She distracts. You were once the center of her notifications, the first name she searched for, the one she always replied to, even if late. But now she's going to do everything she can to look unbothered. Not because she doesn't care, but because caring makes her feel exposed. And the ego, it doesn't allow vulnerability. You see, it's the ego is like a bodyguard who doesn't care if you're lonely inside the mansion. As long as no one sees your tears at the window, she'll armor up in ways you can't see. She'll laugh harder in group chats. She'll suddenly go out more. She'll wear that outfit she knows turns heads. She'll take selfies from angles that scream confidence. She'll post cryptic captions like, "Healing in silence," or "Unbothered energy only," even though her heart is replaying the last thing you said to her. That's ego. It fights for pride, not peace. The truth is, your absence touched her, but her pride won't let her say that, so she'll lie to herself over and over. He was too needy. He was boring. He was just another guy. But deep down, her soul remembers the warmth in your voice, the consistency of your attention, the way you remembered the little things, like how she took her coffee or the song she listened to when she couldn't sleep. But no, she'll silence all of that. Not because it's gone, but because the ego refuses to lose. She'll turn your name into a lesson, a warning, a story for her friends. Men are all the same. And they'll nod in agreement, not realizing that her entire monologue is just her pain in disguise. She's not over you. She's just over being seen as weak. Have you ever seen someone post pictures from a vacation they're not even enjoying? That's what this is like. She's curating a highlight reel of her healed life, but behind those filters is a mind still replaying what went wrong. It's like putting perfume over a wound and pretending it doesn't hurt. Looks good on the outside, but it's stinging deep within. The ego needs to win, and it defines winning as never showing that someone had power over you. But love is not power. Connection is not weakness. Vulnerability is not defeat. Still, her ego sees it that way. So rather than reach out, rather than reflect, rather than soften into the silence, she builds walls. But here's what no one tells Yug. The higher the wall, the deeper the pain behind it. She's trying to convince herself that she let you go, that you were the problem, that she's better now. But late at night, when the phone isn't buzzing and the lights are off, the lies start to unravel. That's when she has to sit in the quiet and ask herself why it hurts that someone she pretends to not care about is no longer there. Her ego is terrified that maybe, just maybe, you stepping away wasn't a game. That maybe you're not watching her stories anymore. That maybe you're not typing a message and deleting it. That maybe you're really gone. And the ego, it wasn't ready for that. She might try to replace you quickly. Maybe with someone new, someone exciting, someone who gives her the same attention you once did. But deep inside, she knows replacements don't fill gaps. They just distract from them. And eventually, the new guy will say something or do something that reminds her of you. That's when the cracks start forming. That's when she begins to question her ego. The same ego that told her to stay silent. The same ego that said, let him chase. The same ego that said, don't text back too quickly. He'll think you're desperate. The same ego that kept her playing games until the game was over, and she didn't even realize she lost. You see, the ego doesn't warn you when it's wrong. It just leaves you to deal with the emptiness it created. And in that emptiness, she'll hear echoes of what she'd have said, what she should have said, the apology she never gave, the soft truth she never admitted, the way she once felt safe in your attention, but pushed it away thinking there would always be more. But you weren't a forever guarantee. You were a human being with limits. And now that you've reached them, she's alone with her armor. Beautiful, polished, icy armor that keeps everyone out. It's including the version of herself that once loved you. That's the price of the ego. It protects you from short-term embarrassment, but often at the cost of long-term connection. She'll tell herself it was the right choice. She'll hold her head high, but the heart knows. It always knows, and no matter how much the ego tries to silence it, the truth will keep whispering, ooh, he actually cared it. She'll start watching you more closely than ever, not because she wants to, but because she has tog. Something deep within her starts to for answers the moment you disappear from her world. Your silence, your absence, your shift in energy. It doesn't just go unnoticed. It becomes a mystery. And humans, by nature, are addicted to solving mysteries, especially the ones we didn't see coming. Before, you were predictable. You texted in the morning. You replied quickly. You asked how her day was. She didn't have to guess what you were thinking because your words filled in every blank space. But now, you've left her with silence, and silence is loud when you're used to someone's presence. So what does she do? She starts observing, not in anger, not in bitterness, but with a curiosity that borders on obsession. She checks when you were last online. She sees your green dot. She sees it fade. She checks your followers. Have they changed? Did someone new pop up? She looks at the posts you like, the memes you react to, the comments you leave on random accounts. Every move you make becomes a clue in the puzzle. She's trying to piece together a why did he stop talking to me? And it doesn't stop there. She'll revisit your old messages, not for nostalgia, but for data. She's scanning for anything she might have missed. Did you hint at something? Was there a moment she didn't appreciate you enough? Or was there a tone in your last voice note that sounded more distant than usual? She'll play it over and over, analyzing every breath, every pause, every emoji. Because silence makes people historians. She's now studying your past to predict your next move. In daily life, think about it when you lose something, what do? You retrace your steps. You look back. You recreate the moment you had it. That's exactly what she's doing, trying to emotionally retrace her steps to when she still had your attention. And that journey will take her deeper than she ever expected to go. At first, it will seem like simple curiosity, but then it starts becoming a routine. She'll open her phone without thinking and search your name. She'll type it into search bars without realizing it. She'll hope. Silently, it's secretly, that you post something, any quaint thing, a photo, a song lyric, just something she can analyze. And when you don't, it drives her crazy. It's because the less you show, the more she imagines. And what she imagines is always louder than what's real. She might not be texting you, but she's tracking you in ways you'll never know. That story you posted for your friends, she watches it 3 times. That random status update, she screenshots it and sends it to a friend asking, "Do you think this is about me?" And maybe it's not. But in her mind, everything suddenly feels like it's about her. That's the power of emotional absence. It makes people create meaning out of shadows. Now here's where the shift happens. When she was secure in your attention, she was calm, collected, even detached. But now that you've pulled back, now that you're no longer feeding her that quiet sense of certainty, her mind won't let her rest. And she doesn't know how to just let go. Because you didn't give her closure. You gave her silence. And silence is the seed of speculation. She'll try to act normal. She'll go on with her life. She'll hang out with friends, go to the gym, do all the things she used to do. But in the middle of all that, she's watching. Watching who you interact with, watching who you follow, watching the energy of your updates, watching for signs that you've moved on. Because here's the ironic true thing. She didn't realize how much she noticed you until she had to start noticing you without her. And that version of you, the version that doesn't chase, the version that doesn't text good morning anymore, that version you shakes her world. Because it forces her to face a thought she never prepared for. Maybe I wasn't as important as I thought. Gum now. That thought. That's what creates obsession. It's not love. It's not loss. It's the uncertainty, the unknown, the unanswered questions, the empty space where there used to be certainty. You became her routine. And when a routine breaks without explanation, the mind begins to spiral. So she watches, not because she's weak, not because she wants to get back together, but because the part of her that needs control is desperate to understand what went wrong. And in her watching, she starts seeing things she never noticed before. Your growth, your peace, your glow. You're no longer seeking validation. You're no longer fighting for attention. You're living, evolving, moving. And that's when it really hits her. You didn't go quiet to punish her. You went quiet to protect your peace. You stopped reaching out not out of revenge, but out of respect for yourself. You stopped chasing not because you didn't care, but because you finally understood your value didn't need to be proven through effort. So now, her eyes are on you more than ever. But this time, not because you're available, but because you're not. You became rare. And anything rare becomes precious the moment it's no longer within reach. She might try to reclaim the power, not because she's ready to change, but because she's terrified of losing control. When you were reaching out, when you were texting first, checking in, initiating conversations, making plans, validating her she was comfortable, she had the upper hand. You were predictable, available, consistent. And to her, that consistency became control, not in an evil or manipulative way, but in the subconscious belief that you'd always be there. That no matter how late she replied, no matter how cold her responses were, you'd still show up. That belief made her feel safe. But safety, when taken for granted, turns into entitlement. And when that entitlement gets taken away, that's when the game changes. The moment you stop contacting her, her balance shifts. Suddenly, she's no longer sure where she stands. She doesn't know what you're thinking, what you're doing, who you're with, or why you're not fighting for her attention like before. And that void, that silence, it becomes too loud for her to ignore. So if she might start to reclaim that power, it'll begin subtly. She won't come running in with apologies or explanations. No, the ego doesn't allow that. What she will do is test. Maybe she'll send a casual message, "Hey stranger," or a meme she thinks you'll find funny, or a completely random question that doesn't need to be asked. She's not trying to connect. She's checking if she still holds that pull. She's fishing for a reaction, a sign that you still care, a sign that she can still walk back into your emotional space if she wants to. It's like when you leave your house and lock the door. but then you come back just to check that it's really locked. That's what she's doing with your heart. She wants to make sure she didn't lose access completely. Because if she still has access, she still has power. And power to her equals safety. If you respond too quickly, she wins. If you respond with too much emotion, she's reassured. She doesn't need to continue the conversation because her ego got what it wanted, confirmation that you're still orbiting around her. But if you respond slowly, calmly, without emotional weight, she panics. If you leave her on red, she spirals. She might start posting things designed to get your attention. An old song you both loved, a quote about letting go, a photo in that outfit you once complimented. None of it is accidental. It's all intentional, strategic, because she doesn't want you back. She wants the upper hand back. And for that, she needs to pull you back in emotionally. Think about real life. Have you ever seen someone break something, then try to quickly fix it just enough so it looks okay from the outside? That's what she's doing. She's not fixing the connection. She's repainting the cracks, hoping you don't look too closely. But here's the beautiful part. When you've truly done chasing, when you've found peace in your own space, her attempts don't pull you in anymore. They don't ignite old emotions. They reveal truths. Her tactics begin to feel obvious, transparent. You see the patterns, you read the signs, and instead of reacting, you observe. Because you've grown. You no longer need her to validate your worth. You no longer need her attention to feel significant. You've upgraded from needing her approval to needing your own peace. That's what makes your silence so dangerous to her. Not because it hurts her, but because it exposes her. It forces her to look in the mirror and ask, why do I need to be in control? Why can't I just say how I feel? Why do I keep playing games with people who actually care? And that realization, it's earth-shaking, because for maybe the first time in a long time, she's not the one holding the emotional power, and it scares her, not because she wants revenge, not because she's evil, but because deep down, she's afraid of feeling insignificant, and your silence made her feel it. She might escalate. Maybe she'll talk to someone new. Maybe she'll even flaunt it online, hoping you'll see it, hoping it triggers you. But all she's doing is trying to pull your emotions back into her orbit. Because if she can't have your heart, she'll settle for your attention. If she can't be in your arms, she'll settle for being in your thoughts. But the real glow up is when you don't flinch, when you see her attempts for what they are, not gestures of love, but gestures of insecurity. You don't hate her. You don't block her out of anger. You simply no longer respond from need. And that right there is the shift. You're not the one begging for her energy anymore. You've become the one she's trying to reclaim hers from. She's not used to this version of you. The calm, grounded, emotionally intelligent version who isn't playing games, who isn't waiting, who isn't falling for breadcrumbs. She expected the old you, the one who'd jump at the chance to reconnect. But now, she's dealing with a man who respects self too much to settle for manipulation dressed as attention. So she'll try. Not because she loves you, but because she's afraid of no longer being loved by you. She'll try. Not because she wants to build something real, but because her ego can't stand losing what it thought it owned. She'll try, not to heal, but to prove she can still pull you back whenever she wants. She will reevaluate your worth. And in doing so, she will be forced to reevaluate her own, because your absence won't just make her miss your presence, it will expose how much she misunderstood its value. It won't happen instantly. It never does. But slowly, in the quiet moments, in between distractions and half-hearted laughs, she'll start to see what she was really holding when she had you. And more importantly, what she lost when she let it slip through her fingers. At first, she'll try to convince herself you weren't that important, that there was nothing special about you, that you were just like the rest. But her heart will fight back. Her memory will betray her, because the more she tries to downplay your presence, the more moments will begin to replay in her mind. Not the big ones, but the subtle ones. The way you always checked if she ate. The way you listened even when she didn't say much. The way you made her feel understood. One without needing her to explain herself in 100 different ways. She'll think about the things you noticed that no one else did, like how she played with her hair when she was anxious, how her voice changed slightly when she was excited about something, how she always looked away for a second when she was trying not to cry. You paid attention, not just to what she said, but to you, who she was. And now that you're gone, she realizes how rare that kind of attention really is. She thought she had time. She thought you'd always be around. She thought that someone who cares that much wouldn't just walk away. But you did. Not in anger, not in revenge, just quietly, with peace, with purpose, with self-respect. And that's what hits her the hardest. The realization that someone who valued Herb chose himself when she wouldn't choose you back. In that moment, the illusion breaks. She starts to ask herself, did I ever truly see him for who he was? Or was I too busy trying to protect my pride? And that thought alone shakes the ground beneath her. Because now, it's not just about what she lost. It's about what she failed to appreciate. She replays your words, your kindness, your patience. And suddenly, they're no longer ordinary. They're gold. And she let gold slip away while chasing glitter. In everyday life, it's like using an old umbrella and tossing it aside when the sun comes out, only to find yourself soaked the next time it rains, remembering how it used to protect you. That's how she starts to see you, as something that protected her, cared for her, made her feel safe. But now, you're no longer there when it starts to storm. And in that silence, she has to face herself. It's not the version of herself that looked in the mirror and saw confidence and beauty, but the deeper version, the one that rejected love when it was real, the one that let her ego lead, the one that prioritized attention over intention, the one that got so used to being chased that she forgot the value of being chosen. That's where the growth begins. Not in missing you, but in seeing herself clearly. She starts to understand that you weren't just another guy. You were the one who saw Herb even when she was trying to hide. You were the one who stayed even when she gave you every reason to leave. You were the one who didn't just want her body or her beauty, but her peace, her spirit, her truth. And now that you've gone quiet, she's left with questions that can't be silenced. Why did I let him go? Why didn't I say what I felt? Why did I wait until he stopped talking to realize I cared? This is when the real transformation happens. Not to you, but to her. Because you were the catalyst. You were the mirror. And now, without you there to reflect her worth, she has to go find it on her own. She has to rebuild the pieces she ignored. She has to learn the hard lesson that not everyone who walks away is replaceable. She'll look around at the people in her life. She'll see how many are surface level, how many only show up when it's convenient. And then she'll remember you, how you showed up even when it wasn't, how you stayed through her moods, her silence, her chaos, how you cared without keeping score. And suddenly she'll realize you were rare, not perfect, not flawless, but real. And real is hard to find, especially in a world that celebrates performance over presence. So she'll sit with that truth, that maybe, just maybe, she lost something she'll never find again. And that truth will humble her. It will open her eyes. It will force her to look inward. Because the moment she sees your true worth, she'll be forced to ask why she didn't see her own. After all, it takes self-worth to recognize the worth in others. And when you walked away, you didn't just show her what she had. You showed her what she lacked within herself. She will either level up or let go. There comes a moment in every emotional journey where a person is faced with a choice that doesn't just define how they feel. It defines who they are. It's when you stop contacting her, when you go silent, when your energy pulls back and your attention no longer flows her way, it forces her into that very choice. And it's not a choice about you. It's a choice about her, who she wants to be, what she wants to grow into, or what she's willing to lose. At first, the silence feels like rejection, like punishment, like abandonment. But eventually it begins to settle into something much deeper. A mirror, a reflection of her own patterns, decisions, pride, and mindset. And in that mirror, she will see two clear paths. One leads to growth, the other to retreat. It's the first path, the one where she levels up, isn't easy. It demands brutal honesty. It demands that she takes accountability for the part she played, that she asks herself the hard questions she's been avoiding for years. So why do I push people away? Why do I mistake kindness for weakness? Why do I run when someone gets too close? And perhaps the biggest one, why did I let him go when he was giving me everything I said I wanted? To level up, she has to face herself, not the version she shows the world, not the curated confidence or the filtered images on social media, but the raw, unhealed, scared version that hides behind her pride. The version that doesn't believe she's worthy of consistent love. The version that chases highs but fears intimacy. It's the version that built emotional walls so high she forgot what it's like to be seen. Leveling up means tearing down those walls brick by brick. It means looking at your silence not as a loss, but as an invitation to grow. To become the kind of woman who doesn't savage love out of fear, who communicates instead of retreats, who values depth over games. It's in this path that she becomes someone capable of not just receiving real love, but holding it. And the irony, your silence is what sparks that transformation, because words couldn't reach her. Gifts couldn't change her. Promises couldn't move her, but the absence, that did something. That planted the seed of realization. And if she waters it with reflection, she will bloom into a woman so evolved, even she won't recognize who she used to be. But the other path, that's the one she knows too well. It's the easier path, the one that requires no growth, no reflection, no responsibility. It's the path of letting go, not just of you, but of the lesson. It's the path where she tells herself it wasn't her fault, that you were just another guy, that you didn't try hard enough, that you were too sensitive, too intense, too available. It's the path where she distracts herself with validation from others instead of confronting the emotional absence inside her. She might move on quickly, talk to someone new, post about peace and moving forward, as if she's reached some form of healing. But deep down, she knows she's repeating the same cycle. It's because nothing truly changes unless we're willing to confront the part of ourselves that keeps attracting or pushing away what we say we want. Letting go doesn't mean she forgot you. It means she chose not to learn from you. And in doing that, she loses far more than your attention. She loses an opportunity to evolve. Think about real life. We've all had moments that shook us to the core. Breakups, losses, failures. And in those moments, we either used the pain to wake us up or we numbed it with distractions. That's the crossroads she stands at. And it's not just about romance. It's about whether she chooses to grow beyond the habits and fears that limit her. You were never just a guy who stopped texting. You were the mirror, the trigger, the shift, the moment that made her pause and say, maybe it's not always them. Maybe sometimes it's me. But only if she's ready. And the truth is, not everyone is. Some people stay stuck because evolving feels harder than hurting. Some people would rather keep their pride than admit they lost something real. And some people, well, they mistake silence for weakness and walk away thinking they've won. But silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom, it's restraint, it's power. So she will either take this moment and rise with it, or she will stay the same and call it peace. She'll either do the hard work of facing herself, or she'll point the finger and let go like it never mattered. Not because she didn't feel something, but because she wasn't ready to become someone. And in that choice lies everything. The silence you gave her wasn't an end. It was a revelation. It was the moment the music stopped, and she finally had to listen to the lyrics of her own patterns, her own pride, her own emotional blind spots. And now, as she stands at the intersection of growth and ignorance, what she chooses next isn't about you. It's about her capacity to face the truth and rise from it. Because every loss isn't punishment. Sometimes it's a lesson dressed as distance. You didn't walk away to hurt her. You walked away to find you. You walked away because you finally realized that watering a garden where seeds are not being planted is emotional suicide. And the most powerful thing a man can ever do is recognize when to stop giving energy to someone who doesn't know how to receive it. That moment, that shift, that's when you evolve. That's when you turn pain into power, emotion into elevation, heartbreak into healing. They say, If you want to know who truly values you, disappear for a while. And you did. And in that silence, you didn't just find peace. You discovered your e-worth. You stopped begging to be chosen. You stopped performing to be loved. You stopped proving yourself to someone who didn't even understand your value while you were right in front of her. And maybe she will wake up one day and finally get it. Maybe she'll sit in the middle of her new distractions, her shallow relationships, her temporary comforts, and realize that none of them touched her soul the way your silence did. That none of them made her think the way your absence did. Because what you gave wasn't just attention. It was consistency, loyalty, presence, depth. And when someone loses that, they don't recover easily. But here's the most beautiful part, you dog. You rise, you glow, you build yourself stronger, wiser, and calmer. Because you finally understand that not everyone deserves access to your energy. You understand now that emotional availability is not weakness. It's a superpower. And you don't offer it for free anymore. Sometimes you don't need to say anything. Just leave and let silence speak everything. That's what you did. You didn't scream. You didn't argue. You didn't fight to be seen. You just walked. With dignity, with clarity, with the kind of self-respect that leaves echoes in the spaces you once occupied. And that's the echo she's living with now. Not your voice, but your silence. Not your hands, but your absence. Not your love, but the memory of what it felt like to be seen by someone who actually meant E. Let her call it whatever she wants. A phase, a lesson, a mistake. But deep down she knows. And maybe one day she'll look back and whisper to herself, he was the one who loved me right, and I didn't love him back the same way. You, on the other hand, will be somewhere better. Emotionally richer, mentally clearer, spiritually grounded, because life has a funny way of rewarding those who choose self-respect over repeated disappointments. The ones who walk away from chaos not out of weakness, but out of a deep commitment to their peace. You became the storm that walked away and left sunshine behind, not for her, but for you. Because you finally understood that chasing someone who doesn't value is like pouring into a cup with no bottom. And remember these words as you move forwarding. You don't lose people who are meant for you. You lose people who are hiding behind borrowed emotions and temporary intentions. Let them go. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Because your silence wasn't the absence of love. It was the presence of strength. So stand tall. Heal boldly. Move quietly. And know this, the right people will never need to be chased. They will recognize your value in your presence, not your absence. And when they do, they won't run. They'll rise with you.